Back at you every Saturday morning here on ABC 3340's The Starting Lineup. I'm Tony Curry, Keefer, the legend, Bediako. Should he have come back? Why did he come back? How do you feel about it? And did it save college sports as we know it? Because that judge said you can't come back, my friend. Legend, what do you think?
Well, I don't think he should have came back, but I think it's just a minute situation on a larger picture of corruption and disaster in the NCAA. It's all a mess. I didn't see where it was any more of a mess than a 26-year-old player playing from Europe that's been a pro in Europe for 4 or 5 years, or a guy getting an 8th or 9th year in the NCAA to play our 8th or 9th year. It was wrong, but there's a lot of wrong in the NCAA right now.
It's the Wild Wild West.
It's the Wild Wild West, ladies.
Kip, there was just a little sprinkle of right, I have a feeling you're going to say.
Well, I mean, look, you heard me the last few weeks here saying that this is turning college sports into a minor league situation. And it cannot be a situation where if a guy leaves early to pursue a professional career and washes out, that he has an option to come back because you get paid a lot more at this level. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it just becomes a part of the whole scale of things. And college sports cannot survive as a minor league entity. It has to have its own identity, its own brand. It is not part of the professional feeder network. And so this decision really was a reasonable thing. And also, if you're going to have the ridiculous NCAA, which is outdated, and you know how I feel about that, it needs to be just exploded and demolished like one of the old 1950s Las Vegas hotels brought to the ground, because they're completely worthless. But if they're going to be the rules and regulations and enforcers, then they've got to have some teeth.
Yep.
If they say, no, you're not eligible, and some podunk judge, you go shop for a judge, and he says, no, he can play, then why have the NCAA to start with?
This is the first time the NCAA has actually gotten some teeth. They finally win one. It's been a long time.
Oh, and that's the big news. Yeah. Legend, Alabama lost to the NCAA.
Yeah. We got to remember something, too. The schools are the ones that created the NCAA. Okay, the schools are the ones that said, listen, because they didn't want to deal with it, and they needed someone to overlook them cheating. Because they do it. They always say the IRS, 60 Minutes, and the NCAA. You don't want to see those three at your front door ever. The NCAA obviously has lost its shine, it's lost its teeth, but the schools are the ones that's created. Now that the Big Ten and the SEC is running the entire show, no one else really has a say. So Bediako had 10 points a ball game, 4.6 rebounds, I think 1.6 blocks.
Yeah.
Did he make a big difference? You can make a point. They were 3-2 with him in the lineup. That's going to be the interesting part that I think they're not going to vacate those wins more than likely.
No.
The 3 wins.
They won't have to.
But it doesn't mean that the board and the committee who's picking March Madness can't look at those 5 games and go, wait a minute, would they have won those 3 games? Right now they're about a 5 or 6 seed. They're certainly right in the mix. They go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. They may be a bubble team. I think they get in. I don't think it's going to be an issue. But what I'm saying is, was it worth it for Nate Oates to bring a guy in and supplant 20% of his offense, his defense, and really kind of shake the locker room? Don't tell me some guys were pissed off in that locker room when he came walking through, because when you add one, you're taking some work away from someone else.
Time away. And Legend, you said Wednesday, the big win they had at Ole Miss, you thought they made some adjustments and looked even better without Bediako.
Yeah, I think they're a better team without Bediako because they're a quicker team that can guard more out on the perimeter without Bediako than they can with him. I noticed Bediako was really slow of foot on the pick and roll defense, and they were taking advantage of him. Alabama is not a national championship team with or without Bediako, but I do think this situation gives Alabama an emotional edge that they hadn't had all year. I think they have something to play for now, kind of them against the world, and I think it will benefit Nate Oates and his team going down the stretch. They played the upper tier, the SEC, to start the season. They have 6 of the 8 of the bottom tier going down the stretch of their schedule. I think they'll make the NCAA tournament easily. I think they will be a 3 or 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
He is the first and hopefully the only guy to ever go to the pros and come back and play actual college ball. They've come back, but they've never played before, so he's the first, and hopefully that'll be the only guy.
But as immobile as he is, maybe he can make a run for the Alabama offensive line.
Well, he could have went to Europe and played 2 years and came back. quarterback and fit in just quite nicely. See, you can go to Europe, ladies and gentlemen, and play pro ball, but you cannot play pro ball in the United States. That makes you illegal.
Super Bowl 60, Snoozeville. Mike Tirico. I cannot believe it was Mike Tirico's first Super Bowl ever, which is hard to believe.
That is
the
hard
guy
to
has called
believe.
everything. And he said, listen, in 60 minutes, we're going to find out who's going to win the Big 6-0. It was a yawner, and I know a lot of people did not like the fact that we had the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots, who, by the way, have played in 20% of every Super Bowl ever done. Does that play in the fact that we didn't have some blue bloods? We had some different teams playing in Super Bowl 60. By the way, the second highest rated Super Bowl in Super Bowl history was Super Bowl 60 this year. More people watched that game. Only one of the game was higher than Super Bowl 60. What does that tell you?
Well, that surprises me because these weren't really marquee teams. Now, the Patriots, of course, are a marquee team, but not this current version. We've gotten used to the 500 or worse the last couple of years. So, they're a brand name. The Seahawks, were a team all year that I thought was very formidable. So it was a good matchup. But I wonder if it's a good thing, and obviously if the TV reception was that strong, people accepted that, and the Super Bowl, the event has gotten bigger than who's the teams that are playing in it.
Legend, who you like?
Well, Tony, I think those numbers are just skewed, if that's the right word. I'm country, don't know how to say things.
Skewed, but that's
there you go. Thank
skewed.
you.
That's how you say skewed. You say skewed.
It's slightly askew, yeah.
Slightly overblown. Gambling in the United States has blown up. It's now legal in 37 states with DraftKings and other entities.
Huge
you got
factor.
more folks gambling on the Super Bowl than ever before. They don't tell you the dirty little secret or the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey says. I think the Super Bowl sucked. You take away the gamblers, and maybe you had a couple million people actually watching it. I didn't watch it. Any of my friends didn't. Any of my friends didn't care. You didn't care, Tony. I don't think you cared about once you had money on it. That's a
The only money I had was with you, and I gave him a seat on. You have to bring that up. You had to bring that up. I know. I had to give my $100 in cash.
How to bring it up?
Listen,
nobody
I'm not
outside gambling like that, guy.
I love this conspiracy. Well, I don't think anybody was really watching. There's like a couple million people. Come on, man. There's Nielsen boxes on top of TVs. We know who's watching.
Gambling away, and how many people actually watched it?
Oh, and we have been gambling for 55 years before it's legalized. It doesn't matter whether gambling is legalized or not. This is the biggest illegal gambling
it's so out
in
front
the
now.
history of the world.
DraftKings, Bet USA, Bet
I would bet you that less people.
90% of the folks had money on it. That's why they were watching.
I will bet you that less people.
We're betting again.
I'll bet you less people in the state of Alabama had money on this Super Bowl than they did last year. And I'll tell you why. Because it is legalized. Because they are finding different ways. They're going overboard, and all that illegal money is not going. Because when you do illegal money,
it was the Chiefs and the Eagles.
When you do illegal money, what do you have? You have credit. You have credit. You get $1,000 credit. You're not playing with your own money. You're playing with someone else's money, and that's why it's so big in the illegal world. I will tell you this: Bad Bunny 1. Kid Rock 0. I thought both halftime shows. I thought the Bad Bunny show was choreographically unbelievable. I thought it was fantastic. Couldn't understand a flip of a word he said. And I thought the Kid Rock show was just a blowhard turning point.
I didn't watch either one of them. Had no desire to watch either
I
one.
went and had an extra bowl of block and went and took a dump and came back and just hoping it was over.
This just in. This is the United States of America. The official language of the United States of America is English.
Here we go.
That's all I'm going to say.
Puerto Rico is American, right? It's the United States of America. Puerto Rico, and that's how they talk.
If that's the case, it should be English in Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico, they talk different languages.
But he is going to be the halftime show next year.
Good Turtle, Bad
Look,
Bunny,
the bottom line is, it's fine if you like that kind of music, that kind of entertainment. It's fine.
Green Day kicked ass. I love Green Day. I thought Green Day was great, but the only thing weird about that is they bring out the quarterbacks, the NFL players, and they're just standing there while the band behind them is sitting there playing their songs.
Very strange.
I thought Green Day was great. All right, well, we got Super Bowl 61 coming up next year. Who's going to be playing Super Bowl 61? Go.
Let's hope it ain't as sorry as this year. I don't care as long as it ain't as sorry and sucky as this year.
I think the Houston Texans are up and coming. That was kind of my dark horse this year, and they ran into trouble in New England. On the
The Colts.
NFC and the Colts maybe, they had their moments. If they can keep Indiana Jones healthy, we'll see next year.
I'm going Cincinnati 49ers 3.
Well, okay. We're shocked with that.
Joe Burrow is going to be healthy for an entire season finally, and so is Christian McCaffrey. Those two are going to headbutt, and the Bengals will lose again.
You're not going to hear me pick the Falcons. They hired Kevin Stefanski, the fired coach from the Cleveland Browns. That's a brilliant move.
Man, what a move.
That may be the best opening segment we ever had right here in the starting lineup. Thanks for watching.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, get somebody in here to take these out of here. I can't do it. I didn't know we were on. I'm sorry, Birmingham. I didn't know we were on. You can leave UAB as long as
Thank
all
you.
we get started. Yeah, we'll leave UAB.
Auburn,
UAB!
go, Coach Alex! Go, Coach Alex! Go, Coach Alex!
Come on. We love you, Coach Alex.
Yeah, Alex got to come back on the show.
He's going to be on every single week, I think.
Oh, that's what's up. Hey, welcome to the Legend K, where only the legends come and hang out. We've been talking basketball this week because we're still in shock. I knew that it was bad when we lost to Vandy. I mean, it was horrible when Indiana beat us by 30. But hell no, it's somebody that ain't got a victory in 10 years. The NCAA is whooping
Their
our
first
butt.
win?
What's happening in Alabama, Tony?
Boy, that
Give
is
Alabama some hope. What's happening down there?
That has been a long time since the NCAA
They
got
will
one of the
us!
Crimson Tide. I didn't even think about that. That is a great point. That's a great point. It was a bad week for the Alabama Crimson Tide when it came to wins and losses for sure.
Kip, what do you think, man? We got beat by the NCAA. That's like getting beat by a 16th seed in the NCAA tournament.
And
what's going on, Greg Bauer?
And talk about home court advantage. You
Really?
still lost to the NCAA.
We got our own judge, our own city.
A graduate of Alabama.
Graduate of Alabama. Hey, it's the Wild Wild West in college sports, and it appears, ladies and gentlemen, that only Alabama is getting punished. That's right here. This is the only team in NCAA that is doing wrong. Nobody else. That's us. Tony, how do you feel like this selective enforcement? How do you feel about this selective? Only Alabama. That's the criminal.
No.
That's the criminal right there.
They're the only ones brash enough to have a head coach who thought they could bring back a guy who's already played pro football.
Give it up for Dano.
I support our players. I support our players. Our players. He did nothing wrong, doggone. 10, 4.6, and 1.8 blocks per ball game. Bring him back. And the NCAA said, no. And you know what? I was hoping he'd play 10 to 15 games. Maybe they go like 10 and 5, and then the selection committee could look at those 10 games he played. They wouldn't vacate it, but at least they could go, wait a minute. Is this Crimson Tide the Bediako Crimson Tide, or this the non-Bediako Crimson Tide?
Guys, this guy was 7'1". He's come back from professional ball. He's 7'1" in the middle, and he's averaging in his 5 games with Alabama 4.4 rebounds.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my problem. Why didn't you go get LeBron James? I mean,
He's got 5 years
Why didn't you go
eligibility.
get somebody, why didn't you go get Kevin Durant? I mean, if we're going to break the rules. But I still love it, Dano. I still love it. Because don't you feel like that Alabama kind of gave NCAA the finger, Tony?
Yeah, and I think the NCAA, listen, you throw enough darts up, you can hit the board eventually. And I think the NCAA was due. And let's be honest, between all three of us, we are all really happy the NCAA actually won this a little bit, because had they not, it was going to open up a Pandora's box unlike you'd ever seen in your world. You're going to see players, it would have been like the Olympics right now.
What's the difference between what they're doing with the Europe player? Over 2,150 players, Tony, from European leagues now playing college basketball. 1 in every 5 college basketball player is now from a European league. What's the difference between the pro Europe player and the American pro player?
Have they already played in the European League?
Yes.
Or is this European League?
Yes,
Yeah.
already played.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think, Kip?
I mean, there's a lot of discussion about the varieties of leagues that these guys come from.
I think you got your numbers from the same people that watch the Super Bowl as well.
No, that's true. You Google it. You can be amazed at what you can Google.
I mean, even a lot of
what's that thing you ask all the time, Kipper?
Chat GPT.
GPT, whatever.
Oh, Chat GPT.
Hey, you go ask it. How many players?
Legend-
Hey, we got to get out of here. Kipper, get us out of here, man.
Legends numbers are accurate because it's all the schools, even small schools, that are doing this with the international players. Legend, you wrap it up because it's your cave.
Please.
Nate Oates, next time, go get LeBron James. Hey, remember it's just a game. Don't be like the starting lineup.
Sports insane.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters as part of the starting lineup. I am a longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer, along with sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. Not sure why I'm even holding this football anymore because we are all done. Football season a wrap. Another strong Super Bowl, at least on the big markets. The side, I really liked the Seahawks. The total, I really liked the under, so gave both those out, ended up cashing those. And I don't know if I talked about it on here, but I was really high on the NFC all year, so I had some NFC -3 future bets. Those are good. The props were kind of a drag, not so good, especially I think the 3 I shared last week on the show. I think those went 0 for 3. I do think maybe I had one 2 weeks ago. I mentioned Ramondre Stevenson having so much of the touchdown scoring equity on the Patriots, so him slipping in there at the end was big for me props-wise, made it so it wasn't a complete disaster. So not an all-time Super Bowl, nothing to write home about, but I really needed the Seahawks. Glad they came through. And now, what do we say it is about the sports betting time? We also a lot of times say this is like the 2-3 week period where a lot of people go on vacation, get that time off in between, if you're in the betting world, in between the Super Bowl, in between March Madness. I used to be so guilty I would be on vacation right after the Super Bowl ended. Some things have changed. I am taking that trip before we get to March Madness, but still here for a little bit. However, I have pumped the brakes a little bit on betting, taking it a little bit easy. It's been a long football season and not necessarily a fruitful one. I know if you've watched here, you're saying, well, you've been killing sides, and I do think you put NFL and college football together. Maybe never had a better winning percentage when you put the two together sides-wise. Probably had better individually in each of them. But where I really did not do that well this year is the futures, and that's typically where I've made my hay, where I've been my best. It was really disappointing not to have really anything live once we got to the Super Bowl, but we'll have to push forward, try to do better in the future. I'm certainly not stopping the futures. In fact, that's the one thing I have worked on, even though I haven't been on the day-to-day betting grind. Like I said, taking a couple weeks off until we get into a busier part of the calendar in March. I have looked at the futures. You can find a futures column I do every year after the Super Bowl, kind of running down what I think are valuable bets to make at LasVegasSun.com. It ran in the Las Vegas Weekly last week. I even put some next Super Bowl bets in there. These have done really well for me in the past. 2 teams that I am targeting, just between us. I didn't bet either of the 2 that I actually wrote up in there, but they are 2 teams I'm looking at. I just want the market to get a little more mature, make sure they're posted everywhere to make sure I'm getting the best numbers. But 2 teams I really like going into next year, the Detroit Lions in the NFC, the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC. The Lions were the best team ever to miss the playoffs by the DVOA ratings this year. Now, you could say their window is past. Jared Goff's never going to get there. I get all that. Maybe that's true, but I still see a team that's just, getting the right offensive coordinator. We'll see if Drew Petzing is the right guy, getting him in there. I really think that could make a huge difference. I still think the Lions are right there, one of the best teams in the NFL. And the Chargers next year, you look at what they did this year just to get to the playoffs. I think it was amazing. I was picking against them every week in this segment. They had so many of their guys hurt, especially on defense, especially on the offensive line. They're going to get all those offensive linemen back. Getting Mike McDaniel in as offensive coordinator, I think it's going to pay a lot of dividends. It is going to be a little bit tougher on defense without Jesse Minter, but again, they have some money to spend. I think they're going to shore up that defense, so I like the Chargers and the Lions. If you get either of those at 20-1, I would fire right away. Right now, the best I've seen is about 16-1, 17-1. I'm going to try to find just a little bit higher. In other futures news, something I give out every year, I think we've hit like the last 3 winners on here. It is almost college baseball season, and I got to say the SEC in college baseball is kind of like what the SEC was in college basketball last year, or what the SEC was in college football for kind of the last decade. Just so head and shoulders above everyone else. They're spending way more money than most of the other major conference programs. So I'm always looking for the SEC teams to jump in on. And this year I'm going to start my portfolio with 2 teams kind of in the middle. arch rivals nonetheless. I ended up betting 2 College World Series futures as part of that column I talked about in the Las Vegas Weekly this week. The Georgia Bulldogs at 28-1 and the Florida Gators at 40-1. Now, Georgia has had an all-time great offense, I think like 2 or 3 years in a row now. They just have to figure out the pitching staff, and I think they got some. They spent a lot of money in the transfer portal. I think they got 2 guys from Stanford, and I think the pitching could be a little bit better this year. So I just had to jump at that price at 28-1. I know they're more like 20-25 elsewhere, but you can find 22-25 anywhere. Anything above that 20-1, I'm going to go ahead and fire on Georgia. And Florida's kind of the opposite. They always have the rotation figured out. This year they might have 2 first-round picks anchoring that rotation, especially one. It looks like another guy could work himself up into that. And I just think the offense, has been pretty consistent. It can get there. So I'm going to start with 2 mid-tiers. I'll probably be jumping in, betting some other teams. It might be all SEC teams. Usually I have 1 or 2 long shots that are from other conferences, but I'm starting with Georgia and Florida before we get off to college baseball. Last thing before I go, I would be remiss if I didn't break down the biggest betting event of this weekend, the Daytona 500. I'm going to make my annual donation. Well, not really donation. I've had some winning Daytona 500s. I don't think I've ever hit the winner, though. This is such a hard race to handicap, especially in this day and age with this package. Just so much variance on these super speedways. A wreck's going to wipe out about half the field, as you guys know. Chevy is getting all the love, though. Chevy's been steamed just everywhere with this new package. They did really well in qualifying. I'm recording this before the duels, so you'll have a little more information than I do at this. I just need to see it to believe it first for Chevy, so I'm going to be targeting more Ford stuff. I did bet at least 3 Ford guys in the futures. Just forget everything I just said about how variant it is. I still had to go with the favorite, Ryan Blaney. I found him at 13-1. I just think he is the best drafting track driver we have right now. I made him more in the 12-1 range. So slim value, but you got to have some money on the Great American Race. 2 other longer shots I bet. Chris Buescher at 25-1. Thought he should be more in the 20-1 range. And Josh Berry at 45-1. Again, I'm going Ford. Chevy's going to have to beat me before I tip my cap to them. Thanks for checking out another edition of the Vegas Heaters. Let's see what the other guys are up to.
Like ESPN or any of the other shows that usually are running during our time, we beat ESPN College Game Day every single week because we're local, we're live, and people know who Kip Keefer is, Tony Curry, the legend, so, and that's all good. But we couldn't do it without some of our great sponsors because we only play for the cash around here. Stuart Rome, Birmingham, does a wonderful job there with, of course, the Woodhouse Day Spa. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com, Birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
At the Summit.
At the Summit, right next to Saks. It is fantastic. I'm going to get you a rub down. I'm going to get you a massage on the table. I'm going to talk to the ABC executives and make sure it's done live right here on television on some Saturday morning. You're going to be getting an 80-minute massage. It's going to be unbelievable. Of course, K4 Wins. Fantastic site. We've been doing that thing now for a year and a half, handicapping, hitting 64, 65%. We hit 5-3 on Super Bowl Sunday. Pretty good. And now we're getting ready for March Madness, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. And also my good friend Sasquatch Toys and Comics down there on Citation Lane. 300,000 comics. They got comics worth $80,000, $90,000 down there. Don't rob the place. It's fantastic. Check out Seth and his entire crew for all the toy needs you need, even in the box. It is Sasquatch Toys and Comics. And I know Kip Keefer is all over the place. Where are you at now?
Well, if you slept in this morning, you made a mistake because between 8 and 10 this morning, Kip Keefer, the legend, on duty on Jocks 94.5. Game time continuing year-round now. We are rolling along, and we've become kind of a weekend refuge for the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Yeah, many Feinbaum callers are calling in, Jocks, 8 to 10 every Saturday morning, game time. If you're not listening, you are missing out on America's top weekend show.
I mean, it's amazing. Wall-to-wall callers, a lot of great things going on, and we just have a blast doing it.
Yeah, it's excellent. We get down, we get crazy, but most of all, we keep it 100% real. That's what I love about these fellas. They keep it 100% real. You get this nowhere else.
And one quick other plug, Kip Keefer Sports on Facebook. Check that out. We're blowing up on over 1 million views in January on the Kip Keefer Sports page. We're also on YouTube and other platforms such as TikTok and Instagram. I couldn't get Instagram out.
Right now, it looks like the SEC's got 10 in. The Big Ten's the only other conference with 11, something that just totally blows my mind. The Big East, as of right now, according to Joe Lunardi, 3 teams.
That's
and last
amazing.
year they had 11. And the Big East is falling apart. The St. John's, the Xaviers of the world, the Georgetowns. It's just a really down year. St. John's is playing pretty well. But you got UConn, who looks like a 1 seed. You got Duke, who looks like a 1 seed. You got Arizona, who looks like a 1 seed.
Except they lost this this week.
They did. They blew out my Muskies, by the way, by 32 last week.
Oh, wow.
UConn did. The Huskies
Yeah,
did.
Kansas is making some noise.
And,
Peterson
yeah.
is probably the best freshman in the country.
There's no doubt. And it's hard to believe, guys. We're coming down the last couple of weeks. We got conference
it's March
championships coming up.
Madness almost. We're
Yeah.
mid-February here.
And not to forget, but of course, the AAC.
Happy Valentine's Day, by the way.
The
everybody.
AAC, yeah, happy Valentine's Day. The AAC, their conference tournament's going to be right here in Birmingham this year.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Home court advantage for the UAB Blazers if they can get themselves maybe a bye and get into conference. They got a lot of work to do. They're obviously above 500, but they got 12 new guys in the basketball team. No one expected them to go through the schedule and be undefeated by any stretch. But Andy Kennedy's the right man for that job. But anyway, Alabama, you said just a few minutes ago you think that they're going to be a 3 or 4 seed. Do you stand by that? Because right now they're about a 5 or 6 seeds. They're not playing their best basketball right now.
No, they're not. But as I said, they played the upper echelon of the SEC with Florida, Tennessee, these teams at the first of the year. Now they get a schedule where they get Mississippi State and a few of the bottom teams in the SEC going down the stretch. And I think they will benefit from that. I mean, regardless if Alabama's a 4, 6, or 8, Alabama is definitely a NCAA tournament team with or without Charles Bediako.
And they're no fun to play if you're on the
No,
other
they're not,
side.
because they will run you to death. They will shoot threes. They won't shoot a 10-footer. Nate Oates, no 10-footers. I'll put you on the bench.
Guys,
yeah, layups or threes. That's Alabama, baby.
What
That's
about the
Alabama.
job the defending champion Todd Golden's done at Florida? He's got a completely different kind of team this year with all guard-oriented last year. Now he's got a bunch of bigs, and they are just on fire right now.
I think Florida is one of the most dangerous teams in the country. If Lee and Bland plays just decent with 3 7-footers on that front line,
wow,
they could be a sleeper. Take them as a long shot to win the national championship and repeat. They will be hell to deal with in the paint.
And they've got a 7'9" guy on the bench.
That don't play.
No doubt. It used to be guys over 6'10", 6'11". My cousin, 7'2".
Oh,
the most uncoordinated, could not dunk a basketball. But you got now we got these 7-footers. I don't know what they're putting in the juice. I really don't. But normally you don't look. I think of Dirk Nowitzki, 7-footer. You can make shots from the outside. We certainly see that in the NBA now. But yeah, you got guys. You got bigs that can run the floor. They don't look like flamingos, doing some disco dance, man. They're actually getting up and down the floor, and they're actually playing a little defense, and they're making shots from the outside, including from three-point land. Talk about Stephen Pearl a little bit, that experiment going on down there with the Auburn Tigers. Kip, what's your thoughts on what he's done so far this year?
They had a nice flash there for about a week and a half. They won 3 or 4 games. Now they've seen them fall back off, and they're losing games at home. That's the distressing thing.
Yeah.
Bama came in there and beat them last week. Vanderbilt beat them this week during the week in their home arena. And, Alabama, they're kind of on the road to recovery. If you get any win on the road in the SEC, that is huge right now. So I think that's a good barometer to watch down the stretch. But I think Stephen Pearl had the team playing pretty well, but right now I think they're a little questionable.
Let me say this about Auburn, Tony. They are just the opposite of Alabama. They fed upon the lower echelon of the SEC to start the year. Now they have Arkansas and Kentucky in the next 3 coming up. They are in a dangerous place to slip entirely out of the NCAA tournament.
Hope you had a fantastic lovey-dovey weekend here on a Saturday morning. We do it every Saturday morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock on ABC 3340. Thanks to Jeremy, the entire crew behind the scenes. We've got like 15 people behind the camera, man, making sure everything is just right. A little more makeup here on Legend, please. We're going to get it done again next weekend. We'll check it out. We thank you so much for watching, as we do every single week. More Case Keefer in the way. We got Miss Terry coming up. We, of course, have got Kip Perspective, which I absolutely love. We got the Legend Cave. We got Tone the Bone. We got the whole crew back at you next Saturday morning right here, 10:30 on ABC 3340. Starting lineup. Thank you for watching.